So in this particular series, we're going to expound upon the section that we just discussed. This section is about thinking. So let's go a little bit deeper. So again, what we're trying to do is come up with a situation and translate it into data. At least how would we think about it in the format of data? Okay. And so what we're going to do is go through an example, add a little bit more flair to it, and then go through some exercises. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go through that process. So our first step is to define the situation as clearly as possible. Okay, so before working with data, ideally we need to try to understand what this issue is. So let's say, for example, you're a coffee shop owner in West Lafayette and you notice some fluctuations in the sales, but you don't understand why. You sell coffee. I don't know. Okay, so that's the first step. The second step is to start to identify some key components. Okay, so remember we already talked about context, observations, units, sample population, but I'm going to introduce a new concept. It features a new concept called the target variable. Okay, or the target, and that's going to be the feature or the feature that we're really interested in. Okay, and then last but not least, potential relationships. All right, so in terms of what we discussed in the previous video, the context is just something that drives our interest. Okay, in the coffee shop example is the fluctuation in sales. Okay, so it's imperative that we remember that the observations are going to be the sales. Okay, the observations are going to be the sales. Okay, so if we're trying to understand the fluctuations, let's say in the coffee shop, we could look at the past 6 months or maybe even the last week, but let's just make up a sample. There we have the last 6 months. The population is going to be all possible entities or elements. In this situation, it could be all possible sales. Okay, all possible sales. Okay, and the features that we may be interested in are features with what does it mean? It's going to be characteristics of properties, and the features that we're interested in regarding the coffee shop example could be the time of day, the season, the individual's age, if we get that information, how they made the purchase, so on and so forth. It could also be the size of coffee and things of that regard. Okay, and how much money was made, which is, we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's talk about it now. How much money was made is the target variable. That's the variable that we're after. That's the variable that we're just trying to understand. Okay, and so potential relationships could be how does the time of day affect the sales? How does the size of coffee affect the sales? Do they buy pastries? Does that affect the sales? All these type of features could have an impact on the target. Okay, so with that being said, let's continue on. Okay, so with regards to this particular activity, what we're going to do is try to identify the problem or define the problem and then identify some key components and things in that regard. So here, with regards to this first example, we have a music company wants to determine which songs to promote, which will increase the likelihood of a song becoming a hit. So take a moment and fill out those 7 key components regarding to step 2. Let's see how that goes. So come to find out, it kind of makes sense. The music company wants to determine which songs to promote, which will increase the likelihood of the song becoming a hit. That's the context, right? Now, to make more sense of it, what's the observation? It's just going to be a song made by the company. A song made by the company. Okay? And then when it comes to the observation, we're going to say a sample. It could be, we're just trying to get a way of thinking. It could be the songs made last month, the songs made last year. As long as we were able to conjure, what our sample could be, that's, key. It doesn't have to be exactly my answer. Songs made by the company last month. It could be songs again made in the last year, so on and so forth. The population would be all songs made by the company. That should be straightforward. Features, right? Good. So I'm on track. Features, genre, length, valence. Valence is a notation of being either positive or negative. It could be the energy of a song or the type of even promotion. Okay, and then from there, the target. Okay. The target is whether it becomes a hit or not. based on what's being done, or based on what kind of music that we're dealing with, based on the length of the song. We want to see if those features have an impact on the actual target, which is, does the song become a hit or not? Okay, and so some potential relationships could be the type of promotion. Ideally, that's the one we're after. Does the type of promotion have an impact on a song becoming a hit? Okay, so let's actually move on to the next problem, our next example. Okay, a gym owner observes that some fitness classes are better attended than others. Assume that this gym only provides fitness classes. So this particular example, take some time, and this is a little tricky. So take some time and go through this. Again, the context here is a gym owner observes that some fitness classes are better attended than others. So that's the phenomenon. That's what we're after. That's what we're trying to understand. Okay. So the observational unit is going to be a customer's visit. Okay. A customer's visit. The actual visit that the customer is making is what we're observing. Okay. From there, the actual sample is going to be all visits made last week, right? It could be all visits made in last 2 months, something along those lines. As long as you're able to conjure an idea of a sample, that's what I'm after. The population is going to be all visits that have ever been made. But again, we're only focusing on, a sample. Even if we have access to everything, we're only focusing on a sample. Okay, so some features could be the length of a class, the number of people that attend the class, and the type of workout. Okay, and then finally, the target variable is the actual selected class. Okay, what class was actually selected based on the customer's visit. Okay, what actual class was selected. Okay, and then from there you want to figure out, does the length of the class have an impact on the selected class, or does the type of class have an impact on the selected class? Okay, so these are potential relationships that we could be interested in evaluating. So a wrap up. So as we delve deeper into data science, always remember the importance of framing. Make sure that you're able to understand those 7 key components when evaluating what you're about to analyze. By translating ambiguous real world problems into clear data questions, you'll pave the way for meaningful analysis and insights. Okay, so this framework of thought is ideal when it comes to working with data. Okay, so data thinking involves processing an object of interest by tapping into inherent features and or information, okay, about those observations. Okay, so things that are being measured, characteristics that are being measured on observations. That's the way of that's a way of thinking about data thinking. Whereas statistical thinking is that we're taking a sample from that population and trying to make generalizations about that population. Okay, and then a statistical question only can be answered by using data. We didn't emphasize this too much, but it's also very nice to always remember a why. That kind of goes back to the context. Why are you interested in certain things? And so having that framework could draw you to be to come up with more research questions, to come up with more potential relationships based on the information that's given. Okay, so we're done. Okay, great.